Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
And here we are back again to Talking Books and Stuff podcast, and we're with Chris Hall. Chris is based in Winnipeg right now with the McNally Robinson bookstore in that location. So, Chris, a little bit perhaps about your background, where'd you grow up, that kind of stuff. What'd you do before you got into the book selling business? A little background of who you are and where you came from.
Okay. Well, I came from a small town north of Winnipeg called Stonewall. That's where I grew up, and my father was an English teacher, and my mother was a librarian in the school system.
Oh,
And so I came by books fairly honestly.
yes.
Grew up with them all around. So then went off to university and thought I wanted to get into science, but ended up getting into English. So I got an English degree and a master's in English degree, and then ran out of school ideas. And when I was in Winnipeg in 1996, I heard there was a big bookstore opening, and so I applied and I got the job, and I started as a bookseller, and then became what we call an inventory manager, which is in charge of the books mostly at that time that we were reordering based on sales and making decisions about placing the books in the first place, things like that. And then 2 years later, in 1998, the store in Saskatoon opened, and I got involved helping, as I term it, helping them learn to do the same things. And I've been kind of involved in Saskatoon ever since, travel there on a regular basis. I have almost since then. So my math isn't what it used to be, but that's quite a long time.
Yeah, it's quite a while. 27 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Great. So, and
yeah.
so there you are.
Beg your pardon?
You've been
Yeah,
here. You've been there ever since then, like a career.
I have been. It is a career. I know. I'm a bookseller. Yeah, I took to it like a fish takes to water, is what I like to say.
Great.
And it's just my place.
It's wonderful to find your place, isn't it? No matter what it is.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It sure is. Yeah.
Oh, oops! A book fell on me, as a matter of fact. Oh, I was supposed to be mailing this off to Drumheller and didn't get around to it. So Chris Hall's with us, Canadian Independent Booksellers Association. But McNally Robinson, again, that's two stores, one in Winnipeg and one in Saskatoon. Is that right?
We have two in Winnipeg, actually. We have a big one, about the same size as the one in Saskatoon, and then we have a smaller one at the Forks in Winnipeg, if you've ever been here. It's kind of a gathering place, and has been since ancient times. It's got this great little market and lots of goings-on there over the course of the year, and so we have a bookstore there as well.
Okay, and now we segue into the Canadian Independent Booksellers Association, of which you are associated. Do you have an actual position with them?
We do, yeah. The story there is years ago there was something called the CBA, which was the Canadian Booksellers Association, and it kind of stopped somewhere maybe 15 years ago, just kind of faded off. And we missed it as booksellers, as independent booksellers. And then when COVID hit, we really missed it because we couldn't, just didn't have any access to each other really to share ideas and consolation and all those sorts of things. So, but we did manage to get a new version of it started, which we now call CIBA, Canadian Independent Booksellers Association. And it just allows us to, as independent bookstore owners, to communication, access to share resources to a certain extent, to work together on issues and problems. So it's been a great addition, and it's remarkable that it took all that stress of COVID to do it, but then we decided it was obvious how much we needed, so we put it together. So I'm actually the board president from the get-go. That was 2021 when it officially got started. So, ironically, I'm in just about to give up that position because that's been 4 years, so that's plenty. So I've got a lot done, and it really allows independent bookstores across the country to learn from each other. Is essentially what it is.
So how would you describe an independent bookstore?
Well, an independent bookstore is one that's relatively small, although we kind of counter that. But independent is independently owned as well, so not owned by boards and by investors and so on, but people who are running usually a small business that is um, that where the owner operator kind of stands behind the cash is what it comes down to. We're a little bigger than that. We're more of a medium-sized business, so
Yeah.
a little bit big for an independent. But that's how we think of independence. We own it. We're not under the influence of any outsiders that dictate what we do. We make it up as we go along, as I like to say.
So after COVID and things have settled down a bit, are indie bookstores, are they thriving on the upswing? How's it going for most of them, do you think?
We're on an upswing. Our market share is growing, and our the number of members with SEBA is growing. We're up now over 200 bookstores across the country are members. We have a category for aspiring booksellers, so they can have access to some of our resources to learn what they're getting themselves into. Yeah. And so we've got a number of them as well. So no, business is good right now. Knock on every piece of wood in my vicinity. But we're ready for anything. But yeah, no complaints at the moment.
Great. And you said there's over 200 members, so that means there's over 200 independent bookstores in Canada, if not more?
Right, exactly. At least that. We don't imagine that every independent bookstore is a member yet, but more and more of them are becoming members, and more of them are starting. So, yeah, it's a growing thing, and that I wouldn't have said that if we'd been talking, I don't know, 10 years ago. I think so, seemed like the line was going in a different direction.
Right. So speaking of 10 years ago or so, I was talking to a guy I used to work with in radio. He's a published author, and at that, well, not quite 10 years, maybe 5, he said, e-books, that's the way to go. E-books, they're the only way to do things. And now I see he has a print version of his book out. So what?
He was wrong, at least so far.
Okay, what's going on with e-books? That was a big trend for a while.
Yeah, e-books have established themselves. They're still around, and they still have a market share, but that they're not trending up anymore. They are, in fact, trended down slightly, more like plateaued, I guess would be maybe more what it's been. It hasn't really grown. So it took a big chunk fairly quickly. Maybe people tried it and backed away things, but no, there's a real return to physical books as well, and that's not just with older people like me. It's younger people, my kids and their friends, 20-year-olds. They're wanting the physical books. Teenagers want the physical books. Of course, young kids want the physical books. Especially the toddlers or the really young ones, because they've got to put it in their mouth. So right. It's physical books are still appealing right from young to old.
So what can an independent bookstore do to help an independent author, a self-published especially, which again seems to be on the upswing?
Yeah, well, self-published, we can't help as much as we once did. It has just boomed beyond anything that we can even cope with. So we have to be very selective in what we can sell. Most self-published books don't sell. So yeah, I'm not very encouraging, I have to admit, on that topic, just because, and now with AI, these books are being produced in a millisecond and pitched as books, and so we're kind of caught. We can't possibly keep up with the number of books being published. So it's not a very we're not the route if you're self-publishing to sell many of your books. We still try to in Saskatoon, especially. We've kind of shut it down completely in Winnipeg. Just we had to say uncle. We just couldn't keep up with the demand.
Couldn't keep up, right? So mainly it's the books. The stores are independent. The publishers might not be.
Yeah, the publishers might not be. Some of them are independent though too, and we've just had to concentrate on working with what we call our trusted partners, our publishers who are still taking a risk on the book, still still choosing their authors, still helping them edit and develop a better product, and ultimately putting a better read into the stream, and us taking our selection from that and then putting good books in front of people. So yeah, we are just a portion of the number of books that are available out there. But that it was said. It's probably 10 years ago when I heard that there are now more writers than readers, and I don't think that's only become even more so. There's not enough readers for the number of books being produced.
Now, you're a book reviewer as well as a bookseller, and I'm a book previewer. I do opening lines on that, sasktoday.ca, and so I reproduce the opening lines or opening paragraph of a book, and then a little bit of information about it, and then sort of leave it up to the reader to decide if they want it or not, because most people read the opening line and then see if they want it. I'm getting swamped with books, of course, and especially poetry. How's poetry doing? Like, how can it sell? Because I look at a lot of these and I go, I don't want to read this, but somebody must.
Yeah, no, poetry's been a hard sell for a long, long time, and we actually sell it pretty well, relatively, but it's not a big selling section in our stores either. But yeah, we we work with our publishing partners to furnish us with what they consider to be good books and put it out there. But yeah, it's so easy, as I say, to turn your journal into a book, or your scribbles into a book, and it's just happening so much.
Yeah.
And now AI is just that number is just gonna multiply. There's people out there.
Sort of an offshoot. How do you combat that? Because I can type in the name of a book into AI and they'll do a review for me, and I don't want that, but I mean, well, if I was lazy, I could just copy this and send it off, and people would think I was brilliant. But
well, it's kind of getting into the publisher's zone where they have to watch what they're being pitched, I guess, right, and making sure that it's being produced in the way we're most interested in, what human beings are producing. So, as are they. So, therefore, they'll be on the watch for that. But that's where we have to, as supply, just concentrate on the books that are being produced by people who are working with the people who are producing them.
Another quick offshoot about AI, I listen to a lot of audio books. That's kind of my night soothing thing. I'll put in a book and start listening, and then I'm asleep, and then I'll pick it up the next day and carry on. But an AI narrated book is just terrible, because you can tell that they don't know how to say 21 and 21 days later.
That's right.
Are you combating? Oh, I guess audiobooks aren't really a big part of the business for you.
Well, we have a partner for audiobooks called Libro FM, and so if you go to Libro FM and buy an audiobook, it is actually a operation out of the U.S. that shares the sale with an independent bookstore, so you can choose which bookstore you share your purchase with. So LibroFM.fm. Libro FM is I think it's Libro.fm is choose your book, go through the purchase process, choose McNally Robinson from the list of options, and we do get a little bit of a commission from that. So we're somewhat participating in audiobooks, but it is a booming thing. You're not alone in adding that to your repertoire.
And back to books in general in Canada, book selling in Canada in general, readership, is it holding steady, dropping, rising? What do you see?
It's kind of, again, plateauing. It's, as I like to frame it, if you go back 50 years, it was still a very small component of the population that read books. It still remains a fairly small component of population who reads books. So we are already kind of selling to a small, a fraction of the population. I don't know. It's hard to describe. it feels to me like it's growing, but I don't think it is overall. So it's not dropping so precipitously that that's obvious. So maybe the straight line is the answer. It depends. Some polls come out. Some of them get mixed up in the U.S. because it's a different story in the U.S. It is dropping in the U.S. Canada, I'm always seeing kind of hopeful signs that reading is holding its own, but it's not booming in terms of a percentage of the population, though.
But we can always hope for the best. So,
absolutely, I do.
For the operator of an independent bookstore, what are ways to succeed, do you think, for an independent bookstore?
Well, it helps to be a little bit crazy, because taking on the amount of work that an independent bookstore requires is quite it's quite a lot. So build yourself a good team, whatever size that team that needs to be, because people who are into book selling really are. So there's a lot of passion you can tap into, your own included, and that's kind of what's required. It can be long days, and it can be every day brings on something new, it seems. So if that's your cup of tea, then it's for you. If you want every day to be the same, and because it's nice and easy that way, then don't try it. But if you're up for a challenge almost every time you get out of bed, and especially if that's what gets you out of bed, then it's a pretty good career. For me, at least it has been.
Yeah, sounds that way. That's great. How about added attractions? I guess independents have to stand out in more ways than just having books, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of, as a business person of any kind, you kind of have to compete with your competitors by doing something that they can't. So if Amazon, as powerful as they are and how present they are, they don't have a place to invite you to come to visit, and so always we've concentrated on trying to find reasons for people to come and visit, making it a pleasant experience when they're there, making them want to come back. We talk a lot and try to do all the things that just make you come in, and that starts just from the fact when you come into our stores, it's a kind of calm place, and isn't that a nice feeling when you're out in the real world, when you come into the store and you can actually, you kind of breathe at a different level. And so we've kind of got that. We can cater to, in Saskatoon's case, directly to what people want to read there. The people who work for us in Saskatoon respond to the sales of people from Saskatoon. So we can set the store up reasonably well from the get-go, but if people in Saskatoon want to read a particular book more than anyone else, then that's what we kind of respond to, and that's something we can do better than our larger rivals. For some booksellers in some markets, especially, they are catering to a kind of a neighborhood or a smaller community. So whatever your situation is, you kind of have to look after the people who are in your neighborhood and make your neighbors interested in what you're doing.
Well, I know in Saskatoon, whenever we go in there, the place is always bustling, booming, lineups at the cash register, and they have lots of author appearances and things like that. So that seems
got a pretty popular restaurant that helps a lot, because people can come in for multiple reasons. And we sell beyond books too, so you can find a gift for. I like to think you can find a gift for anybody in our store. So it's a one-stop shop too.
Exactly. And anyway, people like the general public can find out more about CIBA or
you can, if you want to. There is a website, but it's pretty industry specific, so it's not going to be terribly interesting for people outside the industry, I don't think. There is a website called bookstores.ca, which is where we indiebookstores.ca, I should say, which is where we promote books as a group. So we can put the independent booksellers bestseller list there. We can promote books on social media, and if you click on them, that's where you'll go. That's a great place to find an independent bookstore that's close by, and because it can read where what your where you're coming from on the internet, basically.
Oh, right.
And so gives you an option of the closest independent bookstores to you, which is more useful for people who are in big cities, probably, since those of us in smaller centers kind of know our immediate world. But if you're in a place like Toronto or Vancouver, you may not know all the independent bookstores that are around. So anyway, it's that would be the site that's a little bit more directed to customers.
Gotcha. A couple more questions. Chris Hall from the Canadian Independent Booksellers Association before we wrap it up. What are you reading currently right now on your own?
I am reading a book in advance because one of the perks of our job is we get what are called ARCs, called Advanced Readers Copies. So I get to read books before they actually release. So whenever you ask me that question, I'm usually into the future. So I have a book called Let Me Go Mad in My Own Way is what it's called right now, is what I'm reading. And it's by Elaine Feeney, who's an Irish author. And it is very good, about a young woman in Ireland who's had kind of family trauma, but also, of course, in Ireland they've had kind of right back through their ancestors they've had trauma. So it's kind of her being forced to kind of, I guess, reconcile herself to what has happened and try to heal from what has happened. It's really kind of a very well done book.
And one final question, Chris Hall. What's your favorite sandwich?
I like a Reuben.
Oh, yes. Oh, I've always liked Reubens. Yes. Wow.
If you can get a good Reuben, that'll change your day.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris, and good luck for you, for McNally Robinson, and for all independent booksellers across the country and indeed around the world.
Well, great. Thanks for the opportunity, Dennis.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.